Clock, Ratton. Beat the Clock puts his head in front. It's a second Group 1 for Beat the Clock. Mr. Stunning in front from DB Pitt and Beat the Clock. Mr. Stunning, he's the man.
Thero in front, he's dashed away. Cop that for a win.
Beauty Generation, what a remarkable season it's been. Another incredible racing story, a second Champions Mile and a coveted crowning glory. Rise High, what an incredible battle. It's Rise High going home best and Rise High from Waikuku. The Vase, the Gold Cup and now the Champions and Chater. Exultant, brilliant.
We're looking forward to a huge day on Sunday. Those three Group 2s form the final leg of the major lead-up races to HKIR, which is 3 weeks on Sunday. Very warm welcome to the show. We found a quiet corner of the vast expanse of Sha Tin Racecourse. This is Jump in the main grandstand on track. I'm Andrew Lejeune. Very warm welcome to the show. I'm joined here today by Graham Cunning and Ed Sadler as well, two of the major driving forces behind Hong Kong Direct. And Graham, it's a big day, but what's the significance of the Jockey Club races, the sprint, the mile and the cup going forward?
Yeah, good to be here, Andrew. It's a fantastic day in its own right, but there's no question it is and always has been a springboard 3 weeks down the track, Longines HKIR. I've had my anorak on. There have been 24 Hong Kong trained winners, HKIR winners in the last 10 years. 22 of them ran on this card. It is a very notable day indeed.
The sprint looks a great lineup, Ed, some of the up-and-coming stars as well, but we do have 3 of the divisional champions back in action on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Andrew. Well, the mile, Beauty Generation, looking for redemption after he was beaten for the first time for quite a while last time out, but Waikuku beat him last time out, so he could be the up-and-comer in the mile division. Rise High beat Beauty Generation. He now takes on Exultant in the Jockey Club Cup, and then Athero's the boom 3-year-old we're looking forward to seeing, but he'll take on Beat the Clock and Mr. Stunning, who are the proven benchmark for sprint races here in Hong Kong. So, no, it promises to be a fascinating day of racing all around.
Yeah, Mr. Stunning, of course, 2-time winner of the sprints on International Day as well. The Cup and the sprint we'll look at in part 2 of the show. Lots to get through, though, so we'll launch straight into the action with the Jockey Club Mile. And Beauty Generation, yes, he was beaten last time out, but he is the world's highest rated turf miler, and he's won 10 of his 15 starts over Sha Tin 1,600 metres. Waikuku finished in front of him though last time. He's 13 pounds worse off. Sintra Spirit coming out of the same race, simply brilliant. They tried the cheek pieces on. Kai Star, maybe he could offer Beauty Generation some competition on the lead, as he has done on his 2 previous sets. Elusive State, interesting. A 6-time winner on the all-weather switches to the turf, and not usual talent. Hugh Bowman will be in the saddle on Sunday afternoon. We should, of course, welcome back Sylvester de Sosa as well, as he has his first day back for his short stint. He'll ride Elusive State for Tony Millard. So, the question is, can he be beaten again? Not many people thought he would be last time, but the situation conspired against him, the race tactics and how the race panned out. But will lightning strike twice?
I don't think so, no. After time klaxon alert, Edward, I thought he was a very, very short price at 1.3 last time, and it turned out that he was beaten. If he's 1.3 this Sunday, I think he'll represent very good value. I think there were reasons to give him a pass last time. The tactical nature of that race cramped his free-running style. There'll be no replication of that this time. They will roll, and I think he'll put on a show.
Who can, if anyone can, beat him? And tactics obviously played their part last time, and there's still other horses in the field who beat Kai Star, for example, who could roll forward, and Waikuku ran straight past him in the straight last time.
He did. Well, Kai Star's had less weight to carry, and he does this time, but they meet much better off for Beauty Generation with the weights, but he's drawn 4, so he might try to go forward and lead. That's his natural style of racing. If a horse can beat him, I don't think we know just how good Waikuku is just yet. He was terrific in the lead up to the 4-year-old series. He drew 14 in the Derby, had to go back, did a great job to finish second. And he's done not much wrong in his last couple of starts, only narrowly beaten by Rise High. So I don't think we've seen the full potential of Waikuku just yet. He's the horse that could beat him for mine.
OK, Joe Morel will ride him, of course, for John's size. But the winning run did come to an end last time out. Let's find out how Beauty Generation is with trainer John Moore.
He's done everything right. His weight's right on. His work yesterday was exemplary. He went from the 1800 down the back straight, which he does in I think about 51. The work rider was said that he'd done everything right. He believed that the horse would be winning the race on Sunday.
A very confident John Moore then heading into Sunday. But of his rivals, the 6 of them, Graham, what about a horse like Elusive State? Is it possible that he could be actually a better horse on turf than he is on the all-weather. He's been very progressive on the dirt for Tony Millard.
Well, his progress has come generally on the all-weather, but we know he's a pretty smart horse on turf. But the bottom line is, being as good as he is on the all-weather is nowhere near good enough here. He has to be 10, 20, 20-something pounds better. It seems highly unlikely, but where do you go with a horse like that? If you don't have the dirt options, you have to try to get his rating up on turf to qualify for potential global targets ahead. A sporting, really sporting option from the Millard barn, but it seems highly unlikely. Waikuku seems a much more plausible danger.
So those are the big two then, Ed. Beauty Generation, Waikuku. Citron Spirit's been very consistent. Again, hard to make a winning argument for him, but if you're looking for the minor places.
It wouldn't shock if he was to run on into third. It does drop away after those first two, Beauty Generation and Waikuku. Elusive State, you mentioned him before. His first two wins in this winning streak did come on the turf, and he ran well on it 3 starts ago. So he's not hopeless. I think it's a race for third between those two, but hard to see the first two being beaten.
The key questions here is, he was 1.3 when he was beaten last time. Do the people who had faith in him last time keep the faith in a very short price? And my question to you two is, what price do you think he should be, and what price do you think he will be? I think he should be 1.2 on Sunday, and I think he will be.
I think it'll be 1.2, 1.3. I'll be interested to see if he is beaten, what price he'll be on International Day, though. That's the really interesting thing for mine. This is D-Day, I think, for him. He is a 7-year-old. I'm not wanting to knock the champion, but age can catch up with all of us. He was beaten last time out. Let's see what happens here.
I said he'd have to be abducted by aliens on the home turn to be beaten last time, so I ate my words there. But I think a similar sort of scenario this time round. Very hard to beat. All right, there you go. That's the Jockey Club Mile. We've still got 2 more races to come, the Sprint and the Cup as well. As we head off to the break, before HKIR on the Sunday, we'll be at Happy Valley on the Wednesday night. Some big names due to be there. It's always a lot of fun, form and fireworks as we look back on some of the legends that have graced the turf in the past. Welcome back to Hong Kong Direct and our special preview of Sunday's Jockey Club races. We've looked at the mile. Next up for us is the Jockey Club Cup, and they're headed by Exultant, of course, last year's Vase winner. He carries the £5 penalty along with Glorious Ever, who won the Cup on International Day last season. Rise High lowered the colours of Beauty Generation last time out. Southern Legend, a big winner as well last time in the ladies' first, beating Time Warp, who tried to make all from the front. They broke the track record on that day of the 1800 metres. Eagle Way won this race last year. We've got Fuore, a Hugh Bowman back on board. Last season's Hong Kong Derby winner, and Ho Ho Khan, who continues his progress towards the Vase as well, with Alexi Bedell in the saddle for David Hall. So, Rise High, the giant killer last time. Well, Caspar had the double as well with Southern Legend, so winning the ladies' purse. Can he do it again and lower Exultant's colours?
I think he might. It's the champion stayer, champion middle distance horse Exultant, up against what Caspar calls Hong Kong's next big thing. Well, if he can win this, he'll live up to that promise. And his profile, Edward, Rise High, is super impressive. His last 3 runs have all been career bests, and he gets £5 from Exultant. Is that enough?
I think it's you're splitting hairs really between the two of them. Rise High was beaten by Exultant in the Champions and Chater Cup last 3 starts ago for him.
At level weights?
At level weights, £5 difference, and I think they're both big chances in the race. Rise High beat Beauty Generation last time out. He'll be a fitter horse this time out. He'll be better over this distance. But Exultant, his form lines have been proven all around the world. I'm with Exultant because I think he's the better horse right now, but Rise High keeps on improving.
He should get the tempo as well, Exultant, to suit, because he's got the brothers at it again, Glorious Forever and Time Warp, possibly going head-to-heads. who blinks first, who gives up, who goes on?
I think that's a key point, Andrew. Remember this race last year? It was a pace meltdown. Glorious Forever, Time Warp, Battling Brothers went head to head. They kiboshed each other. Eagle Away came from the clouds and I think broke the track record. I think tactically we could be in for a similar scenario because connections of Time Warp and Glorious Forever aren't for blinking here. They both want the lead.
But then in saying that, we also saw in the ladies' purse last year, they both went to the front and put the brakes on and they fought it out between the two of them. So every time we get a brother battle, it's a different version of the brother battle from a pace point of view. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah, and they've drawn 1 and 2 perfectly as well. So, again, it's a case of who wants it more, I suppose. Before we continue, let's just go back briefly to Rise High. There was a super performance to win the Chartin Trophy last time out. Let's hear from the jockey, Vincent Ho.
Definitely is a good horse, although with a weight different, but it's still you know, his fitness is getting there as well. So hopefully he can also run good and hopefully win this time and be top fit for the international.
Well, there's a cool, calm and collected Vincent Ho. He'll be riding Rise High. Let's talk about Caspar's other runner, the Southern Legend. I'll call him a second string for argument's sake, but a super win in the ladies' purse and it's very deserving his place in the field.
Yeah, if he's your second string, you know you've got a good horse ahead of him, and I think that's right. I think Rise High is the better of the two, but he's a war horse, Southern Legend. He keeps rocking up over a variety of distances, running really well, got the better of Time Warp and Exultant.
A super ride from Alberto Sanna.
Absolutely, I think that was key. He was closer to the pace. That was a Sanna and Fownes plan, came off perfectly. But I think the key point about Southern Legend and Exultant is Southern Legend had 2 runs before the ladies' purse. Exultant hadn't had any, so you have to think the odds are in favour of Exultant turning that form around.
Definitely, and then Time Warp also was going into the ladies' purse first up, so I think he may have been vulnerable over the concluding stages that allowed Southern Legend to wear him down. I think we could see better from Time Warp this time in terms of he'd had that break at Chungfa. Lexi Bedell got off and said he felt a fresh and happy horse. We know how good he is over the 2,000 metres on his day, dual Group 1 winner, so I don't think we can discount him. Southern Legend agreed. He's a second stringer, but not a bad second stringer to have.
Tony Cruz saying this week as well about Chungfa's good point that he really thinks Time Warp's back to himself now. That break up there's done the world of good. What about the Derby winner from last season, though, Fiore? He was super all the way through the 4-year-old series, but he just hasn't, for whatever reason, seemed to measure up this year yet. Anyway.
I agree. And it's not just one run. There's 2 or 3 runs now. 1 run at the end of last season and this time around. He did get a tough trip last time out, no question about it. He was caught out wide, got no cover, was a little too free. But he backed off in the straight. And if you look at the ratings, he's still hanging on to that 108 Derby winning rating, the smart rating. It's not good enough to win this race. He needs to shape up and shape up quickly.
He won the Classic Mile third up last preparation. He's third up into this race come Sunday, and he does get Hugh Bowman jumping on board. He's a 2 wins in Hong Kong. Hugh's been on board for both, but I would want to see something from him this weekend from an international weekend point of view. So
we're all agreeing here that the 2 big one in this one is Exultant and Rise High?
I think it sets up perfectly because I think the gallop will be strong enough to let the cream rise to the top, and I think we're in for a humdinger of a battle. It's just the £5 that Rise High gets and the possibility that he'll be the bigger price of the 2 that tips the scales, to me, in his favour.
I've always been a huge Exultant fan, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rise High won. Push came to shove, Exultant for me.
All right, there you go. That is the Jockey Club Cup. Up next is the Jockey Club Sprint, and a tremendous lineup of established stars and the up-and-comers as well, headed by Beat the Clock, one of 2 genuine Group 1 horses in the field here. Mr. Stunning, the other one, who's the 2-time winner of the sprint on International Day. John Size, heavy-handed here. He's got DB Pin and Hot King Prawn, who won this race last year before going off favourite on International Day. Pakistan Star, they tried the gear change for him. The visor goes on for the first time. Blake Shin in the saddle. Wishful Think was a good third in the Premier Bowl last time out. Full of Beauty, drawn barrier 14, runner-up as favourite in the Premier Bowl last time out. Regency Legend unbeaten 4 starts in Hong Kong. Premier first up since this race last year. Thanks Forever, a smart winner last time out from barrier 13. And Athero with just £113 on his back. He's 4 from 5 in his very short career so far. So we'll come back to Athero in a second, but let's start off with the horses we know turned up time and time again, performed at the very highest level. And that's Beat the Clock and Mr. Stunning.
Yeah, that's a natural starting point. And it's hard to knock horses with this sort of profile. Elite Group 1 performers, both super reliable. I think they've raced against each other is it 7 times in the last 2 seasons? This is how close it is between the two. I think it's 3 each and a dead heat. So it all depends how the mop flops as to which one of those two. But the equation for both, I think, is winning this race under a Group 1 penalty. Not impossible, but it's tough. Winning this race after a lengthy break is not impossible, but it's tough. Winning this race with a Group 1 penalty after a long break, that strikes me as being a real tough task.
Mr. Stunning coming back from a stress fracture in his right fore as well, and he's drawn barrier 12 as opposed to beat the clock's 8, so that might make a difference certainly in the early part of the race.
It could. I prefer the trials from Mr. Stunning, but they're both super consistent horses. They never run bad races, and they've been the benchmark for sprint races for the last couple of years here in Hong Kong. So I don't think they'll perform badly, but I agree with you that it is going to be tough for them to win under the conditions here.
It's amazing to think that they've been so good for so long, and I think they're going to come into this race with the betting public thinking, no, we've got a couple to beat you here. The younger horses like Athero and Regency Legend. So write them off at your peril, but I think this is a springboard race, potentially a springboard race for both of them. The winner of this race doesn't tend to win the big dance. Mr. Stunning did both, but if you back the Jockey Club sprint winner in the Hong Kong sprint win 3 weeks later, you would be walking around with holes in your shoes.
All right, well, Hot King Prawn falls into that category as well. Super winner of this race last year. Couldn't go on the international. We haven't seen him since. But what of the up-and-comers then, Ed? Let's start right at the very bottom. Saddlecloth number 14, 113 pounds on his back. Athero, who smashed the track record over 1,000 metres last time out, gets back up to the 1,200.
The track record held by none other than Sacred Kingdom, one of the sprinting superstars of all time of Hong Kong racing. So that was a sensational performance. He's trialled very nicely under a firm hold with Caris Teton on board down the straight. He's got 113 pounds to carry. He's been the boom horse in Hong Kong since he came to the races for the first time.
But
the
run over 1,200 last time behind Fat Turtle.
I wonder though if that was a good educational run for him around horses. He's still a 3-year-old in the first half of his 3-year-old season. That might have just brought him on. I'd be inclined to forgive that from that point of view.
My couple of points on this horse. Ed touched on a really good point about he came for Sacred Kingdom, the mighty Sacred Kingdom's 1,000-metre record, and got it. If you listen to John Moore, he's coming for Sacred Kingdom's 1,200-metre record this weekend, which is 67.5 seconds. The way the track's been riding, not impossible that someone will dip below that bar. But the first point to mention, and the key point to mention about this horse, he absolutely has to run well just to earn a ticket to the race, the big race in 3 weeks' time. He's only rated 102 at the moment. That's not going to get him into the race. He has to go close just to get into the big race. Can he go close? Yes, I think he can. But the buzz, and it's a relentless buzz around him, it tends to add up to a pretty short price for this horse. He's only had 5 runs in his entire career. It's his first time out of Class 2. This is a very hard school. I can't wait to watch him, and I really hope he wins, because if he wins, it means there is a potential superstar on the block. But price is everything, and he might be a bit tight given what he's actually achieved on the book.
All right, well, let's find out from the man who'll be on board for the first time on race day as well, and that's Caris Teton.
So far, he's done most of his things right. You know, he just have the one bad run where things did not work his way. But then he went down the straight, and of course winning on that time was impressive. And everybody has been talking highly about him. Like I said, he gave me a good feel, and of course it's about time for him to take on the big boys. He's still a young horse, but like John seems to be pretty confident. He's gonna go out and he's gonna do very well.
Caris Teton, understandably then looking forward to riding Athero on the weekend. The other young up-and-comers, Thanks Forever and Full of Beauty, not been treated kindly at the draw with barrier 13 and 14, but Regency Legend maybe a little bit better going from barrier 7.
Yeah, he's such an exciting horse. We just can't be sure how good he is. 4 from 4. Impressive visually, but I think perhaps more importantly, Ed, impressive on the clock. His closing splits, ever since he set foot on a racecourse almost a year ago, have been really impressive. He can rattle off a 22-second final quarter mile, and that makes him really dangerous.
That Chief Executives Cup win looked pretty soft on the line. He's had plenty of time to get over it. He's trialled well, and the form stacked up with him beating Seasons Bloom, who then won the Premier Bowl.
All right.
Spellbinding race, because it's going to tell us whether the old guard are still the kings, or there's a new wave ready to mix it with them.
And what's your feeling at this stage then for the sprint?
I think Athero is a terrific horse, but I'm thinking about price, Andrew, and I think everyone else is going to go the same way, make him short. So I'll take a dart with Little Giant each way.
I'll go with Thero. I'm happy to take the shortest priced about him. He is a very, very exciting horse here in Hong Kong, and I think that he'll jump, he'll be up on the speed, they'll make use of the lightweight, and he'll be tough to run down.
All right, out of the 3 races, though, Graham, just want one tip for you. Out of 3, Beauty Generation, we expect to win, but where's the Cunningham Cash go?
Well, Rise High is a horse I've followed ever since he came to Hong Kong from Ireland, and he's not been a rapid improver, but slowly but surely he's worked his way towards the top of the tree, and I think he can take one more step on Sunday.
All right, and Ed's the best of the 3 races for you?
I think the first 2 are fairly cut and dry. The most competitive of them, to me, is the sprint, and I'll go with Thero, as I said.
All right, and I'll take you on then. I'll go Regency Legend from the draw, sits outside the lead. I think powers away in the
I'll make
straight.
one last point. All's not lost if you don't win one of the trial races. Of those 22 horses who have gone on to win at HKIR, only 5 of them won on this day. So it just lends weight to that theory that it's a battle, and it's an important battle, but it's not the be-all and end-all.
It's not the war, is it?
No, it's a big day coming up in 3 weeks, and certain trainers, and we know who they are, this is a springboard. If they can win, great, but if they don't win, all's not lost.
All right, we'll Rise High for Graham, and Ed and I go head-to-head with Thero and Regency Legend in the sprint. As far as the diary is concerned, obviously a big day on Sunday with the 3 Group 2s. First race at 12:15. Wednesday night back at Happy Valley for 9 races. And a quick backup, we're back at Sha Tin again next Saturday. But that's it for this time. Gents, many thanks for your company. Enjoy the big day on Sunday. It should be great.
It'll be terrific.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, there you go. We're going to leave you this week with Abel Friend, who was brilliant in winning this race at the start of a 6-win winning streak for him as well. He was absolutely devastating when going on to win on International Day as well. Thanks for your company. We'll bring you all the action again on Sunday from Hong Kong, direct to you.
Here comes Big Red today. Able Friend quickly headed off Secret Sham. Gold Fund giving chase. Ambitious Dragon back to the inside, but away goes Able Friend cruising away with the Jockey Club Mile.